What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Film Vault, where today we're going to count down 20 crazy facts about Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. We'll have a look at the real-life inspiration behind Austin Powers, the famous actors who almost stole the film, and the behind-the-scenes secrets that helped to turn a low-budget comedy into a worldwide phenomenon. From the deleted scenes and improv jokes to wild casting stories and unexpected connections to even James Bond, there's more going on behind this cult classic than most people realize. But before we get into it, be sure to like and subscribe and help us make more videos like this one. Number 20. Austin Powers didn't start as a movie character. He was the lead singer of Ming T, a pretend 1960s band created by Mike Myers in 1995 after leaving Saturday Night Live. Myers had teamed up with Susanna Hoffs, who is famous for making hits like Walkin' Egyptian, alongside Matthew Sweet, Stuart Johnson, and Christopher Ward. The group performed live at comedy clubs in LA, taking on British personas for their act. Myers was Austin Powers, Hoffs became Gillian Shagwell, and Sweet was Sid Belvedere. The band's name, Ming T, came from a fake company in the 1965 sci-fi film The 10th Victim. Their creativity extended further, though. Ming T's song BBC played during the closing credits of Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Stage 2. Warm liquid goo phase begins.
Number 19. The idea for Austin Powers came to Mike Myers while driving home from hockey practice. Burt Bacharach's The Look of Love from the 1967 Bond parody Casino Royale played on the radio, and the song made him reflect on the 60s, a time his Liverpool-born father often spoke of. Myers then wondered where have all the swingers gone, and that question became the seed for the film, forming in his mind before he even left the car. By the time he got home, Austin Powers had begun to take shape in his brain. His wife Robin had urged him to write it all down before he forgot, and Myers quickly got his ideas to paper, and in only 2 weeks he had the basic script ready. He would go on to later tell The Hollywood Reporter that he didn't know if anybody would get the movie who didn't grow up in his house. Number 18. Mike Myers is from Canada, but his father was actually born in Liverpool, England. He married his wife Alice in the 1950s and introduced Mike to some of the funniest and most creative things in pop culture. From Peter Sellers and Monty Python to James Bond and the Beatles, he had shaped his son's sense of humor and creativity. But everything changed in 1991 when he passed away. Mike Myers was so heartbroken he stepped away from performing for almost 2 years, and when he finally returned, that's when he created Austin Powers as a tribute to his dad. Mike Myers would later say that after his father had died, he was taking stock of his father's influence on his life as a person and comedy in general. And so Austin Powers would be his tribute. The credits include a nod to his father. Mike named his production company Eric's Boy, and it's credited in every Austin Powers film.
Number 2. For 30 years, number 2 has run Portugal, the legitimate face of my evil empire.
Number 17. The voice of Dr. Evil is a mixture of 3 impressions, the main inspiration coming from Donald Pleasance's character, Ernst Stavro Blofeld, in the 1967 James Bond movie You Only Live Twice. He was the bald villain who wore a gray suit and always held a white cat, and the famous pinky to the mouth move comes from Dana Carvey's impression of Lorne Michaels, the producer of Saturday Night Live. Dana had been doing the impression during rehearsals as far back as 1986, and funnily enough, Lorne never actually did the pinky gesture in real life. It was simply something Dana invented. The casting of Dr. Evil led to years of tension between Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, but thankfully they made peace, and Mike later shared that Dr. Evil's voice includes traces of Lorne Michaels' Canadian accent. However, it also has strong influences from Donald Pleasance. Some fans hear other inflections in the performance, but the 2 clearest sources remain Pleasance's Blofeld and Carvey's impression of Lorne Michaels.
Personally, before I'm on the job, I like to give my undercarriage a bit of a how's your father.
Number 16. The movie has a funny scene where Austin and Vanessa's bodies are hidden by random objects, including fruit, ducks, and even a sausage on a fork. According to the behind-the-scenes account, the scene was reportedly filmed at the Church of Scientology Celebrity Center in LA and said to be the only soundstage available that day. Mike Myers and Elizabeth Hurley were completely nude during filming and used sticky red tape to cover certain areas. Myers followed markings on the rug, while Hurley used a camera monitor as a guide, and it took a lot of detailed coordination. The scene was not easy to pull off. The crew had to shoot it 25 times to get everything perfect. And even though there was no actual nudity, the MPAA still rated the film R at first because it looked so suggestive. Producers had to fight hard to get it down to PG-13, and now when you watch the scene, it feels silly and lighthearted, but behind the camera, it was pretty crazy.
Actually, the boy's quite astute. I really am trying to kill him, but so far unsuccessfully. He's quite wily like his old man.
Number 15. Director Jay Roach called Carrie Fisher's cameo as the serious family therapist one of his favorite moments on set. Fisher had been candid about her life experiences, which she had drawn on in her writing and in the film Postcards from the Edge. That's what made the casting so clever. Roach shared that casting Fisher as the super-functional therapist was intentional, and the role showed a different side of her. Fisher was nervous about the role and told Roach that she wasn't sure she could be funny. And then came the chaotic scene where Dr. Evil shared his bizarre backstory. Most of it was actually improv, and Fisher had to stay completely serious the entire time, and she nailed it. Carrie Fisher is always fondly remembered for performances like this one.
My design was perfect.
Look what you did to Mr. Bigglesworth!
But Dr. Evil.
Number 14. The fez-wearing weapons designer Mustafa was played by a then unknown Will Ferrell. His role was meant to be short. Dr. Evil had dropped him into a furnace as a disposable henchman. It was supposed to be a quick joke, but Ferrell's off-screen screams were just too funny to ignore. Lines like, "You shot me right in the arm," left everyone laughing and made the editors change their plans. The team kept on using his voice because it was so funny, and what began as one joke would become a running gag. Ferrell's performance was so memorable that Mustafa returned in the sequel, Austin Powers: The Spy Who Shagged Me, in 1999. This would be years before his breakout role in Old School in 2003.
Close the tank!
Wait, aren't you even gonna watch them? They could get away.
No. I'm going to leave them alone and not actually witness them die.
Number 13. Back in the mid-1980s, Mike Myers trained with Toronto's Second City Touring Company, focusing on long-form improv comedy. This skill became a huge part of his work in the Austin Powers movies. Myers had once shared in interviews that about 30 to 40% of the dialogue in the first film was completely improv'd. One of the most iconic moments, the shh scene between Dr. Evil and Scott, was made up on the spot by Myers and Seth Green. But Myers wasn't the only one who was improving. Mindy Sterling, who played Frau Verbissina, made up her entire Lucky Charms rant, using skills from her time in the LA Groundlings improv group. One funny unscripted moment was Austin joking that London looked like Southern California, which was true since the sequel was filmed there. Myers wrote the script's base, but the cast's improv added the real humor.
Some of you I know, some of you I'm meeting for the first time.
Number 12. The hairless Mr. Bigglesworth was played by a cat named SGC Belfry Ted Nude Gent. His name was a pun on rock guitarist Ted Nugent. Ted was a champion purebred Sphinx cat from Belfry Cattery bred by Michelle Burge. Despite the myth that cats can't be trained, Ted proved to be otherwise. The Sphinx breed is not Egyptian, despite the name. It actually started in Toronto in the mid-60s where Mike Myers was born. Ted was one behind the scenes too, maybe even a little too much. Filming on some of the Austin Powers movies was delayed because Ted loved to nap on Mike Myers' lap between takes. By the third movie, Goldmember, 3 Sphinx kittens were brought in to play Minnie Bigglesworth. The kittens had funny names like Mel Gibskin, Paul Nudeman, and Skindiana Jones.
BBC to the BBC, BBC 1, BBC 2.
Number 11. Back in '97, Jay Roach was just a 39-year-old commercials director with barely their resume. He had only one obscure film to his name, Zoo Radio from 1990, and was even credited under the name of M.J. Roach. At the time, there seemed to be no clear reason a major studio would trust him with a large comedy project, but everything changed because of his wife. Susanna Hoffs, the iconic lead singer of the Bangles, was Mike Myers' bandmate in their group Ming T, and that connection led Myers to give Roach a shot, even though he himself later described his hiring as being just a guy with a friend in the band. Fast forward, and the leap of faith changed everything. Roach had directed all 3 Austin Powers movies and later created hit comedies like Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers. He also tackled serious topics in films like Trumbo and Bombshell, and his Emmy-winning HBO works like Game Change and Recount added to his legacy. But it all began with one lucky connection. Number 10. When the film hit theaters in May of '97, it didn't seem like it would be a game changer. It earned $9.5 million its opening weekend, landing in second place at the U.S. box office behind Breakdown, a thriller that starred Kurt Russell that made $12.3 million. By the end of its domestic run, Austin Powers had grossed $53.8 million, with a production budget that sat somewhere between $16.5 and $18 million. Internationally, it added another $13.8 million, bringing the worldwide total to $67.7 million. But still, it would not be enough for New Line Cinema to greenlight a sequel. Everything changed with the VHS release. It came out in 1997 and was a top rental in 1998. The tape included extras like deleted scenes and a Ming T BBC music video. Such features were rare for VHS, and it turned it into a cult hit. By the time that Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me premiered in June of '99, the series was hugely popular, and the sequel had made close to $60 million its opening weekend, surpassing the original's entire domestic run.
4:21.
Number 9. The US version of Austin Powers is just 89 minutes long, but the international version adds 6 extra minutes. The UK release is 95 minutes, including bonus scenes that did not make it to the US theatrical cut. They feature uncredited cameos by some familiar faces. Christian Slater plays a hypnotized guard. Kelly Preston, who was married to John Travolta at the time, shows up as a Hooters waitress. Rob Lowe appears in a bachelor party scene as Bill, a friend of John, and there's even Lois Chiles as Steve's wife. Rob Lowe's scene was removed from the US cut because, according to him, it did not move the story along. That little cameo would end up changing things for him, though. Lowe and Mike Myers had known each other since the 90s, from when Lowe had hosted Saturday Night Live, and that connection paid off. His cameo in the international version helped him to land the role of young number 2, playing a young Robert Wagner in Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me in 1999. Number 8. Dr. Evil originally planned a scheme that involved a tabloid scandal. The goal would be to break up Prince Charles and Princess Diana. But there was a problem. Dr. Evil did not know that they had already divorced in 1996. The scene was filmed and included in early versions of the film, and was one of the few political jokes. However, it had to be cut before the movie's release. The movie was set to open in the UK in September of '97, and just 5 days before, on August 31st, Princess Diana died in a car accident in Paris. Out of respect, it was cut from the film and not shown in theaters there. Later, the original footage had made its way back into on-home video release.
Needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but everyone.
Number 7. A standout moment occurs on a double-decker bus in Las Vegas. Mike Myers was inspired by Burt Bacharach's song The Look of Love when creating the film, and to honor this, Burt Bacharach appears at the end performing the hit What the World Needs Now Is Love on a grand piano as the bus cruises down the Vegas Strip. Austin and Vanessa dance joyfully. At the time of filming, Bacharach was 69 years old. Jay Roach could not stop filming that night. The early takes were good, but the moment was too special to end, and so they kept filming until sunrise. Roach, Myers, and Hurley were all so impressed by Bacharach's performance that they all kissed him with tears in their eyes. Bacharach would later appear in all 3 Austin Powers movies, and that created a memorable connection to the franchise. Number 6. The vinyl record in Austin's groovy apartment is the real deal. The album is a 1969 reissue of Burt Bacharach's 1965 compilation, which was originally called Hitmaker. The reissue was renamed Burt Bacharach Plays His Hits and featured an updated red and cream cover with a stylish woman on the front. This particular version was aimed at the swinging bachelor pad vibe, which was perfect to match the movie's playful 1960s theme. The production team's decision to use the specific reissue and not the original was a brilliant nod to period accuracy. The original Hitmaker release had a 12-song list and came out in 1965, and the second version, called The Man, followed later that year, added hits like What's New Pussycat and My Little Red Book. In 1969, the reissue used in the film was given a new name and design, specifically targeting the fun-loving crowd of the era. Number 5. Random Task is one of the wildest characters in the film and a parody of Oddjob, the deadly bodyguard from the James Bond movie Goldfinger. Instead of Oddjob's razor-sharp hat, Random Task throws a single Oxford shoe, a direct parody and joke on Bond villains with strange weapons. Even his name is a joke. Random flips odd and Task flips job. The shoe adds more humor, and during a fight, Random Task throws his shoe aiming to injure Austin. It doesn't work, and instead of being deadly, it just leaves Austin with a lump on his head. In the film, he reacts with a famously absurd line about the shoe being thrown, and earlier, the shoe is shown breaking a marble bust in a demonstration. It might seem dangerous, but in the fight, it's harmless.
It's called blackmail. As you know, the royal family of Britain are the wealthiest landowners in the world. Either the royal family...
Number 4. Frau Farbacina delivers a hilarious moment during the scene with Patty O'Brien. When Patty says they're after me Lucky Charms, everyone laughs. The joke works on multiple levels and references a famous cereal commercial, but also nods to James Bond. Patty O'Brien is inspired by Red Grant, the assassin from Russia with Love in 1963, but unlike Red Grant, Patty is not threatening. The scene connects him to another Bond parody, Frau Farbacina. Her loud German accent and strict attitude come from Rosa Klebb, a villain in From Russia with Love, but instead of poison shoes, she brings comedy with her odd outfit and serious tone. The funniest part is Patty never actually attacks anyone. The Lucky Charms joke keeps him as a comedic failure, and the funny scene is a clever farewell to a short-lived parody. Number 3. The choice Mike Myers made after the success of Wayne's World and its sequel had changed everything. Wayne's World made $183 million worldwide in '92, and the sequel in '93 brought in $48 million domestically. Paramount wanted a third film. It had fans, a studio, and strong box office numbers, but Myers had a different plan and spent 2 years developing a new character. During that time, he performed live with his Ming T band. Instead of sticking with a safe bet, he took a risk because new is always better. He went with Austin Powers and it paid off, but the fans still wonder what would have happened had Wayne's World 3 ever been made. To this day, it's one of the most talked about what-ifs of the 90s, and even Dana Carvey, Myers' co-creator and the person who inspired Dr. Evil, still hopes it might happen someday. Number 2. The test scores for the film were terrible, and its premiere at Mann's Chinese Theater was so quiet that Seth Green later said photographers weren't even interested in taking his picture. With just $9.5 million on opening weekend, the movie landed in second place, and by August of '97, it seemed like an average summer comedy. But when the VHS arrived later that year, it changed everything. Unlike most tapes of the time, this one was packed full of extras. At the end of the film, there were bloopers, hilarious deleted scenes, and even a music video for the BBC song by Ming T. Customers loved it and rented the tape and watched the bonus content and then told their friends. It became so popular that in 1998, it was one of the most rented comedies, and the home video success convinced New Line Cinema to back the sequel, The Spy Who Shagged Me.
I have gathered here before me the world's deadliest assassins, and yet each of you has failed to kill Austin Powers.
Number 1. The James Bond movie GoldenEye from 1995 had a $60 million budget. Tomorrow Never Dies in '97 cost even more at $110 million. But creators of Austin Powers made their entire film for much less. At roughly $16.5 to $18 million, its budget was far less than the third of GoldenEye and around a sixth of Tomorrow Never Dies. Even though it was made cheaply, the movie earned $67.7 million worldwide during its theatrical release. The Austin Powers franchise eventually made $676 million out of 3 movies, and all of that on a combined budget of about $116 million. Almost 6 times the return. The home video sales inspired a new wave of low-budget comedies, as in There's Something About Mary, American Pie, and Meet the Parents. By the time the third movie Goldmember came around in 2002, the Bond series was changing as well, and a few years later, it was rebooted with a sharper, more serious tone in Daniel Craig's Casino Royale, a very different direction from the playful 60s style that Austin Powers had so lovingly spoofed. Now make sure you smash that like button because I know you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you know every time we upload another great video like this one. If you've got any recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.